Talkline Network Radio, America's longest-running Jewish broadcast network, the voice of the Jewish community.
Welcome to the podcast. And now,
you're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
Here is your host.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. To Israel we go. With us right now is Avi Zinger, the CEO of Ben & Jerry's of Israel. They've had the Ben & Jerry's franchise for over 35 years. I thank Ushi Talabam, our producer, for helping put together this segment. Avi, thank you for joining us.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, Israel's ice cream market is estimated to be worth about 2 billion shekels a year. Market surveys indicate that Ben & Jerry's has about 12 to 13% market share, with two other companies, Strauss and one other company, having the balance, and Osem having the balance of the market share. So were you surprised after 35 years that all of a sudden Ben & Jerry's in America is saying don't sell in Judea and Samaria? What happened? Did you get a letter or a phone call? Tell us what transpired.
Before we go on, just let me add some information regarding the market shares. You know, the total market share, which is out of home, which is novelties and supermarkets and restaurants, is we have 40%. But actually, our 95% of our product are the pints. And out of which is the home packaging, and out of this category, we are 49.3%.
Wow.
So almost every second home packaging, if people that are buying ice cream to take home, every second person is buying Ben & Jerry's, which is a huge market share, and it's like no other place in the world.
Wow, so Ben & Jerry's is a big place in Israel.
It's a very, very popular. It's very big. It's people love the ice cream, and it's I think it's almost the most popular brand in Israel.
So what happened? Did they send you a letter? Did they call you?
Last Monday, I received a letter in the afternoon saying that unfortunately they are not going. First of all, yes, unfortunately, they are not going to renew my license end of 22, this is when my license was supposed to get renewed. And right after that, they came out with a statement saying we are going to boycott the sales to the occupied territories. Then below that, it's going to happen a year and a half from now, and then we are not going to renew the license with our current licensee.
Now, in their letter to you, did they say why they were not renewing your license?
No, they didn't say why, but it was obvious that this is going on for a long time. The pressure that is on Ben & Jerry's because of their activity in Israel, and we have these discussions, for a long time, how to maybe stop the sales in the occupied territory, what they called it, Judea and Samaria, in order to take the pressure off. And especially the last few months, since the last war in Gaza, the pressure on Ben & Jerry's became so bad. It was that they, since May 18, they even went silent on all the media channels, because whatever they did, they've been attacked. And following this, the pressure on me got stronger.
When you say the pressure on you, did the pressure come from the Ben & Jerry's ice cream company? Did they contact you and say don't sell in what they call occupied territories, Judea and Samaria?
Yes.
And how long has they had these conversations with you?
Oh, this is going along. I'm in very good. I used to be, at least till this letter, very good relationship, and I also myself felt very bad that the company suffered because of the Israeli issue. On one hand, on the other hand, I kept explaining them that there's nothing I can do about it.
But I'm just trying to ascertain. So when did you have your first communication with Ben and Jerry's where they were unhappy that you were selling in Judea and Samaria? Was it after the recent Gaza conflict? Has it been ongoing for a while?
No, this is ongoing for a long time, but now, the last few months, since the pressure on them got so strong and so brutal, so they kept pushing me to do something about it.
Now, how much of your ice, you mentioned you have a large share of the Israeli market, how much of a share, and how much do you actually sell in Judea and Samaria?
Very, very little. It's about 2% of our sales.
And would you say, now, is it only Jews buying it, or is it Palestinian Arabs also buying your Ben's and Jerry's in Judea and Samaria?
No, definitely not only Jews. And, it's not that I'm going only to Jewish settlement. We're going, we are selling direct to all the supermarket chains. And supermarket chains, if you go to a supermarket, big supermarket there, almost most of the customers are Palestinians, most of the employees are Palestinians. So by stopping sales to the Judea and Samaria, actually I'm boycotting everybody. It's not only Jews or Israelis. It's everybody that wants Ben & Jerry's, and everybody loves Ben & Jerry's there.
So do you have any idea what percentage in Judea and Samaria is sold to Jews or to Palestinians? Any idea?
No.
No, but it's a small number. So did you ever contemplate, Avi, of saying, well, maybe for 2%, maybe I shouldn't sell there and just sell in there? Did it ever cross your mind?
No, because first of all, doesn't matter what is my, feelings and ideas. Legally, in Israel, you cannot discriminate any customer. It doesn't matter what this customer is. If it's in Tel Aviv or it's in Ma'ale Adumim. So legally, I cannot say they stop selling. And also, there's the boycott law that I cannot boycott anybody. Beside that, as an Israeli company with Israeli employees, with Israeli citizens, I cannot, stop selling to any Israeli that wants the ice cream, and because where they live or what is their opinion or anything like that. I didn't feel it's right for me and for us as a company.
No, I agree with you, and it's against Israeli law. So let me ask you this question. Ben's and Jerry's stated that they're going to take away your franchise. They're terminating their agreement with you in a year, and you have to close your factory, which is in the south of Israel, not in Judea and Samaria, and they're going to give it to a different Israeli company, right?
No, they didn't say that. They said something very vague, that they'll find a way to keep the Ben & Jerry's in Israel.
But how would they do that if they don't have a plant in Israel?
I don't think I think it's just a saying. I don't know. I don't know if they have a plan. As somebody that is with them for so many years, keeping all the values of the company as far as the quality, as far as the ingredients. We are fair trade. We are the only fair trade company in Israel. As far as the social mission. Our social mission is very strong. I mean, we localize it. We are doing project with the Ethiopian community. We are doing a project of coexistence with Arabs and Israelis, with Palestinians and Israelis. We're trying to do good, the same as the company in the global company is doing. This is what I love so much about Ben & Jerry's. They always did everything the perfect way. Best ingredients, best ice cream, best sourcing, bring back to the community.
And you also, a lot of your products are Chalav Yisrael, right?
Yeah, but we have some products that are not Chalav Yisrael, not because of the cream, because of if we add an ingredient that is not Halav, is not like Halav Israel. So some of our flavor, because of the adding ingredients, if it's a certain kind of cookie, or all of them are kosher, of course, but some of them are not considered in Israel, not Halav Israel.
Now, how has when Ben & Jerry's announced they were boycotting Judea and Samaria, how did it affect your sales in Israel?
First of all, before the sales, how did it affect me and my employees? It was a shock. I mean, this was something that we couldn't even think of. And then the customers got very, very upset. Everybody looked at us and talked about us, as traitors. They started a campaign, actually, to throwing Ben & Jerry's to the garbage. It started a major campaign, people were like competing who's throwing it more pints. Luckily, I managed to go out, not only me, we went on every possible media, if it's TV, if it's radio, a newspaper, and we explained to everybody that actually, we carry the brand, but we are a local company. Local employees, everybody is Israelis. And by the way, we have, our employees are Hasidim, Jews, we have refugees, we have distribution, we have Arab, Palestinians, and Israeli Arabs. So we have, the complete variety that of the citizens of Israel. So for them, it was a complete shock. I came the first day I came to work, people they didn't sleep at night. But little by little, we managed to convince more and more people to explain them what is going on here. That we're not against everybody. We're not going to boycott anybody, and we are supporting everything that has to do with Israel. And we refuse to boycott. And still there are people that are going against us because they think that we are traitors and we're against some part of Israel. But little by little, I hope we'll manage to convince the rest of them. The big question is, what's next?
And that's what I want to talk about, what's next. Our guest is Avi Zinger, the CEO of Ben & Jerry's Israel, which is being forced by the parent corporation in America to shut down in 1 year's time. We're going to be right back.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Talkline radio and TV with Zev Brenner is just phenomenal. Everybody concerned about the Jewish community should listen and watch. He has the best guests. He asks the most interesting questions. He's always so well prepared. It's talk radio and television from a Jewish point of view at its very best.
To advertise on the Talkline network and Talkline's email and social media blasts reaching over 70,000 people, please call 212-769-1925, extension 100. That's 212-769-1925, extension 100. Or email info@talklinenetwork.com.
You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. We're speaking to Avi Zinger. He is the CEO of Ben & Jerry's in Israel. We're speaking to him in Israel. So, Avi, let me ask you this question. So, Ben & Jerry said you have to shut down in a year's time. They're taking away the franchise from you. What recourse do you have? Do you have any legal recourse? Can you sue them? Unilever? What are you going to be doing?
This is a very unique situation because it's not only me. It became a big issue of of Israel. Talking about the citizen, talking about the government. Everybody feels that this is a fight that everybody has to fight. And by the way, it's not only Israel. It's all the pro-Israeli organizations are behind it. It's amazing how this case, which is an ice cream, got everybody together. You see, in Israel, it doesn't matter what party, what is your position as far as settlers or not settlers. I think almost 90% of the people here don't want to take this, and they want to fight it, and especially the government. Because what is happening, I'm a complete legit factory inside the center of Israel, I mean south, but in Israel, and all the only thing that they can claim on that I'm selling, like every other global company in the world, selling to the West Bank. So if this goes through, and they don't reverse this decision, then it opens the door to any other big corporation to boycott Israel. And it started with the West Bank, and it will go on, because the pressure on Ben and Jerry's didn't come from a peace-loving organization. Their target is not to make peace or to end occupation or anything else. They don't agree even to two-state solution. So it became a big political war, and I'm in the middle. I'm in the front, actually. And we're getting thousands of calls from all over the world of people. How can we support? We want to support. We don't want it to happen. So I don't see any way that such a successful and popular product in Israel, and something that is against the government, against the Israeli, against the anti-Israel community, will go through. It cannot be that the Avengers will suddenly disappear in a year and a half from now because of such a reason. And I'm sure that, that there'll be enough pressure to let Unilever understand that it's a wrong decision.
No question it's a wrong decision. The question, though, is, can you sue them? Do you have any basis? I believe the Shurat Hadad, wants to do something as well. So what I'm asking you, you've checked with your attorneys, what have you discovered? Is there anything legally that can be done against Ben & Jerry's? Because you had the franchise for 35 years. You didn't change anything that you did. You're doing exactly what you always do. And by law, you can't discriminate and not sell in Judea and Samaria. That's Israeli law. They want you to violate the law.
Exactly. Number one, this is illegal to ask me to do something that is illegal. You cannot do something like this. So this is number one. Number two, the license came after a ruling of the antitrust in Israel, so they had to go to the antitrust. I mean, there are so many legal issues here that are not right. And so I feel that there's a long way for Unilever, and they'll have to go back with the decision. And plus, they in the U.S., there are local laws, anti-BDS laws, that now little by little more and more states are joining it. And if everybody will put the pressure in the right direction, everything helps.
Now, what about Shurat Hadad, the law center? Are they taking the trademark of Ben & Jerry's and registering it for Judea and Samaria? Can you comment on that?
I don't know. This is what they're trying to do, to say, okay, you gave up on Judea and Samaria, so so now your trademark there is not relevant, and we are going to register our own Ben & Jerry's trademark. I don't know how serious it is, but this is at least what I heard.
Now, you said that in Judea and Samaria it's only a small portion, maybe 2% of your sales, very small. Palestinian Arabs are buying it. Have you heard from any Palestinian Arabs in Judea and Samaria that say, hey, we don't want to lose Ben & Jerry, we love the ice cream?
I don't think it's a big deal there. Because they keep buying it, they keep enjoying it. So I don't think that it's a big deal for any one of them. It's the other way around. You know that most of the Jewish settlements are now buying Ben & Jerry's, you know, to support us. Actually, tomorrow there is a big Ben & Jerry's festival in one of the, you know, settlements.
But has overall, since you reversed the trend of people boycotting your product in Israel, have you noticed that your sales have gone up? Because people say, I want to support Ben & Jerry's because we're not going to give in to this tirade from the American Ben & Jerry's?
Right now, I mean, the first day after we came out and people started to realize that they were wrong by boycotting, so our sales went up like by 21% the first day. Since then, you know, it got back to normal, but the you know, it's the test will be in the next weeks and months, because now we don't, you know, we're always in the top of the news. So many discussions. Yesterday, it was, I think, the first time since the beginning of the State of Israel, 90 Knesset members signed on a petition against Unilever, saying that Unilever did something illegal, and they sent it to the chairman of the board of Unilever Global. So this is there's no, I never happened such a unity, you know, in the Knesset of Israel, especially now that it's so divided.
They should make Ben & Jerry's the official ice cream of the Israeli Knesset. Has that in the plans?
Yeah, if we go on, this is you know, this is the right direction.
I'm just giving you a good idea. In America, they would declare this not only Ben & Jerry's Day, but they would maybe make it the official ice cream of the Knesset.
Yeah.
Have you tried reaching out to Unilever, because they are the parent company of Ben & Jerry's? Have you tried reaching out to them?
No, I didn't try to reach out to anybody. Right now, I was fighting, first of all, to make sure that as many people in Israel as possible are with me, and to get as much support as possible, because I don't know how long this fight will take. At least I want to make sure that I'm not bleeding, you know, that the sales will go on and people are with me. Next step, we'll see what is the best thing to do and how to do it. And in the meantime, I know that the government is using everything they can to fight it.
No, I'm glad to see the unity, and I think this brought out, like you said, right, left, religious, non-religious have all gone behind you, because this is not just an attack on Judea and Samaria, it's an attack on Israel. The Ben & Jerry's board said they really wanted to move out all of Israel, but Unilever, the parent corporation, I guess, limited them just to Judea and Samaria. So this really is an attack on all of Israel. And if you stop making ice cream, Ben & Jerry's, so they can say all they want to keep it in Israel. It's not practical because you manufacture Ben & Jerry in the south of Israel. So
yeah. And
do they want you to close your plant?
I mean, we never got into even any discussions. I got the letter and that's it. No, I didn't get in no more. And then the war started, you know, from all over. By the way, as far as unity, I feel the same thing in the U.S. Everybody, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican or anybody from the Jewish and pro-Israelis groups. I think most of the people are also supporting me.
So the irony is, in America they say boycott Ben & Jerry's, don't buy it. Then Israelis say buy Ben & Jerry's, because this way you'll help fight the boycott. So it's two different countries. Now let me ask you a worst case scenario. Let's say And hopefully this is not going to be the case. We're hoping that Ben & Jerry's will capitulate. I can't see Unilever, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, willing to lose not just market share, but there's talk about Alan Dershowitz on my show said that maybe we should do something with the stocks and hurt them through the stock options. And they certainly don't need this. But let's say the worst-case scenario where they say, hey, we're not going to allow you to continue. What do? Do you have any contingency plans?
Before I go to that, you have to understand another detail. Unilever in Israel is owned 100% of Strauss ice cream, which is a major competitor. I mean, I'm a competitor with them. They are the number one ice cream company. So here there's another legal issue, because by doing that, taking me out of the market, it's they are getting rid of major competition. So this is another thing that the government has to think of.
Oh, that's an antitrust, because they can have more of a monopoly, even though they're
getting rid of a major competitor. So another thing is that. So back to your question, I don't even start, and I don't want to think on any other option. I think we have to fight it all the way, and I don't want to even think that I'm going to lose on this fight.
Now, no, but God's help, you're going to persevere and you're going to continue. And I said, I think the boycott will stay in America, but they should do the reverse boycott and support you and buy your product in Israel itself. Now, I just want to get back to a point you made earlier. You mentioned that you were being pressured over the course of time to drop selling in Judea and Samaria. You said that intensified after the current conflict with Hamas.
Yes.
Now, did they ever threaten you and say to you in any of your conversation from Ben & Jerry's in America, did they ever say to you, if you don't give in to our demand, we're going to take away the franchise? Did they ever send you a warning letter or put anything in writing that threatened you that if you don't do this, you'll lose the franchise?
No, actually, again, as I told you before, we were in a very good relationship with everybody, with the board, with the management, with Ben & Jerry's. So that's why I was shocked, Everybody, I have a long-term relationship with everybody.
You have a 35-year relation. Did you pick up the phone and say, hey, what's going on here? We've been doing business for so long. Have you tried doing that?
No.
Out of curiosity.
Right now I'm getting myself together. I want to make sure that, I couldn't understand where it's coming from. I understand that it wouldn't happen. It came from Ben & Jerry's, from the CEO. I understand that he wouldn't do something like this without getting the approval of Unilever. So the issue is now Unilever. And I don't understand yet what is their plan, the long-term plan.
Have you spoken to, what do your attorneys tell you? What do your legal team advise you?
As I told you, so far I was 24 hours busy with explaining to everybody the situation, because it's so complicated. Next week, I'm going to to approach my lawyers and to see, what is the best way to deal with it. Plus, I know that the government is using anything, lawyers or any approach that they can to fight it. So I don't want to confuse things.
Right. I'm just saying it may not be a bad idea to hear what your legal advisors tell you, and certainly working in tandem with the government. We're all on the same page here that Ben & Jerry's cannot be allowed to get away with this, and I think at the end of the day they're going to buckle because Unilever doesn't want to lose market share, and they can face all kinds of problems. Their responsibility to their shareholders is to make money, not to lose money or to get into headaches, so they don't need this whole thing, so they probably will work out some sort of a solution. I don't know what it is. That's my speculation. But certainly you have your work cut out, and I'm sure you didn't need the whole headache. But we appreciate what you're doing, and we appreciate that you're strong standing. And I urge our listeners, if you're in Israel, buy Ben & Jerry's. In America, don't. And I want to thank you, Avi Zinger, the CEO of Ben & Jerry's Israel, for joining us. And we hope you'll continue for at least another 35 years to sell Ben & Jerry's in Israel, all of Israel.
Thank you very, very much. And I really appreciate and I need the support I'm getting. So thank you again.
Finally, is there anything that my listeners in America can do to help you in Israel?
I tell you something, as a manufacturer and as a long time Ben & Jerry's partner, as I can call it, I don't want to see the employees of Ben & Jerry's getting hurt. It's all about the management of Unilever. It's all about the CEO or either companies. So you mentioned Alan Dershowitz saying go after the stocks. So I don't want to see, the same way I don't want to see my employees getting hurt, I don't want to see any other employee gets
I don't think the employees will get hurt because it's a big corporation, but what will happen be if they see that the only way to get their attention is to hurt them in the pocketbook. If they see that there's an economic cost to boycotting Israel, they're going to find a way not to do it, because at the end of the day, when you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you're looking at your bottom line. How much money can I make for my shareholders? And you don't want to lose that. So they're going to have to find a solution that's more of a headache than they need. And by the way, nobody thought that this would skyrocket and mushroom and blossom into such a worldwide activity where not only Jews in New York, and by the way, they could be in violation of states because they have anti-boycott laws, and I spoke to Alan Dershowitz about it. And the fact is, though, various states can also drop their pension funds in Ben & Jerry's because of this.
So I don't know what happened to Unilever stock in the UK today, but up to yesterday it went down around, I think, $10 billion, something like that. So I think they wouldn't be able to ignore this.
Exactly. They can't ignore it, and they're going to have to come to some sort of a solution because there's too much pressure, and especially if some of the states will say, hey, we're going to divest from any connection with Ben & Jerry's, which could be millions and millions of dollars they'll take out of pension funds, which they invest in corporations. That's certainly something which will get their attention. They're going to have to do something, and my belief is at the end of the day, they're going to find out some solution to this issue because it's just not going to fly for a big company. That's just my opinion.
I agree with you, and I definitely hope that this will be the end game here.
Avi Zinger, thank you. Look forward to have you back again. Continued success, and we're behind you, and we're going to see you. Keep in touch, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very, very much.
And we're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
Here is your host. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks for listening.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.